Hi guys, welcome, I'm SimUK. This is my Winter Resort Simulator review. Now, thank you very much to Aerosoft for sending this over to me. I have only had 24 hours to look at this game, in fact less than that, so I haven't been able to look at absolutely everything. I think I'd say 85 to 90% I've covered, but there's some areas where there may be stuff I haven't yet seen. So this indie, quote unquote, not sure how it qualifies as that, but this indie simulation / realistic economy with management title is not, I repeat, not going to be released in early access, and that's quite important, and I'll explain why as this review goes on. The release date is 12th of December, which is today, so I'm literally up against it, trying to get this review out to you before it releases so that you can see what the game is actually about. It's developed by HR Innoways, which I assume are some way related to Aerosoft, because I know nothing about Innoways and every link I click on takes me back to Aerosoft, so I assume it's some sort of subset of the Aerosoft company. On CD Keys, there's a link in the description below. You can pick this game up for £15. I don't know how much it's going to be on Steam. I would hasten a guess and say about £20. If the game is between £15 and £20, then I'd say that's a fair price for the game, but only when it's had some work done on it. So I'm not sure what platforms this game is available on. It's definitely on PC, because that's what I'm playing on, but I've no idea if it's available on any other platform. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This game, from my perspective, is not recommended right now, and I'll explain exactly what I mean when I say not right now, because this game has a lot of really great features. At this moment in time, for me, I'm unclear if this is a simulator or an arcade game. Some elements of the game are simulated to a really super high quality, but then other parts of it are significantly poor in contrast. And unfortunately, there are too many negative aspects or qualities to this game for me to be able to say that it's worth buying right now. The issues, I'll discuss them all in a moment, both the good points and the bad points, will just cause you no end of frustration. And really, it detracts so much from what is otherwise potentially a really good game. Think, if you will, farm sim for the slopes. That's kind of what this game could be, but it just isn't yet. Let me tell you about all the good stuff first. So, I think you own, or at least you manage, a ski resort, and that ski resort is based on a 6 kilometre squared alpine location. Don't know where exactly. But your business is in financial difficulty and you need to turn it around. So you begin your career with a single slope, which is rented, an operational ski lift, which I think is also rented, and a restaurant. Dotted around, there are viewing platforms and hotels. I haven't actually found one of those yet, but this is what I was saying. I've had less than 24 hours to look at this, but apparently there are viewing platforms and hotels about that you can interact with, but I haven't found one yet. You start the game with a car, and at all times you have a set of skis in your possession. The game also includes 3 purchasable, fully licensed piston bully snowcats. There is a level of simulation included in the vehicles here. I wouldn't say significant, but certainly some. So for example, you have manual or automatic gears, you have indicators, start and stop the engine, you've got handbrake, and you even have refueling purposes. So there is an element of simulation here, certainly. So it's your job to turn around this failing enterprise, and you're going to do that by keeping customer satisfaction levels high, expanding the resort, and keeping the books straight. You are solely responsible for setting the day admission price for skiers, and off of that price, a discounted price will also be set for half-day skiers. You can manage the ski slopes via a management, or you can do it yourself in order to save money. To do this, you need to use a combination of machinery items to plough and prepare the slopes for skiers, and you have to ensure that each slope has enough snow coverage, hardness is not too hard, and the preparation ploughing is completed. And I think the ploughing reduces the hardness, and snow, I mean, you actually have weather conditions, so actually if it snows you'll have more snow and then you need to go plough it, and that's what softens it up. That's how I understand it, but don't fully quote me on that one. Ski slope management requires a number of different machinery types, as I've mentioned. These can be bought from the shop as you progress and expand. Now, I haven't expanded to the point where I can buy some of the bigger machinery, so I can't tell you if that's any good or not. I've only got the default one that you start off with, and yeah, it's okay. It's not too bad. One of the issues with the car, for me, is that you're sat too low and you can't see over the steering wheel, so you lose sight of the road constantly. I'm constantly banging into things that I can't see. It is a bit of a problem. You can change the field of view from 60, which I think is default, up to 90. That really doesn't help things at all. There doesn't seem to be any way of sitting yourself higher up in the car, so that's a feature I think they ought to add. The resort can be further expanded by purchasing or hiring new buildings and ski slopes, and as the price of admission goes up, the expectations from your customers will also increase. Restaurants need to be stocked in order to supply your customers with food and drinks, etc. Again, this can be managed or performed manually to save you more money. Now, the gondola / ski lift system is an area where huge amounts of attention to detail have been placed. They've actually included 5 predefined Doppelmayr ropeway systems, which I think is the official term for a ski lift. Not only are these systems fully modelled to a very high level, they've actually modelled what is officially called the Doppelmayr Connect system, and if you watch it in operation, it's quite impressive. They include detailed and highly realistic mechanical operations and control systems to manage all this, and you're going to have to learn all that, which is quite complicated, and indeed to be able to maintain and potentially repair them. The game infers extremely realistic operational controls around these ropeway systems. There's an emergency stop, there's the ability to push, pull, open and close gondolas. You can do all of this either remotely or physically by yourself, I believe. There appears to be a repair gondola in the bay, which further suggests that high levels of maintenance and repair might be a part of this game too. Unfortunately, I haven't experienced everything that this game appears to offer because I just haven't had the time, and I've also run into quite a few significant problems as well. There's another area of intense interest which I haven't managed to explore to the maximum degree either, and that's avalanche management. There are numerous references to potential weather conditions which might cause an avalanche, and indeed there seems to be a mechanic in place for you to initiate one with explosives, as you can see here. Again, I haven't had time to explore this in any great detail, but the premise is a pretty good one. There certainly is an avalanche experience that's coming down the hill towards you. Now, I'm hoping over a period of days, if it snows a lot, perhaps there will be more snow. The chance for an unexpected avalanche will be increased. So I'm hoping maybe if there's more snow and you set one off, there'll be a bigger avalanche. Whether or not it will be dangerous to you or your customers, I think is very dubious. I don't think that the avalanche is really going to affect anything. I sent an avalanche down on top of my car whilst I was testing, and although I couldn't get my car out of the snow afterwards, I don't think that it was really anything to do with the avalanche, but I can't be sure because I haven't had enough time to really test that out. Another area that I didn't get a chance to have a look at was the Sandbox Editor, but it does say, among other things, that it allows you to build new ropeways, and I'm hoping that will be included with the ability to put new slopes in, but I'm not 100% sure on that, as all the slopes appear to be pre-placed and pre-built, but I could be wrong, and I hope I am. The game will also support modding, which is quite a good thing to include in this day and age, and presumably that's going to be applied via the Steam Workshop, but I'm not 100% sure how that's going to be implemented until it's fully released. So when all the work is done, when you've done all the maintenance and set everything up and got the gondolas running, then you yourself can actually go and jump on a ski lift, jump into one of the gondolas, sit down, and it is beautifully modelled as you head up the side of the mountain. It's a really peaceful, lovely experience, and the audio here is really good, with the rattling and the squeaking and the engines and the motors all running. It just sounds fantastic. It really is great. And then of course when you get to the top, you can just pull on your skis and let gravity do its thing. And that's what this game is all about. So, Winter Resort Manager is, as I mentioned before, potentially like Farm Sim for the slopes. But unfortunately, despite huge amounts of detail having been placed in some areas, there are other areas of the game which are woefully underrepresented. None of the issues I'm about to mention are unfixable, and indeed, I really hope that this review will kickstart the changes that I believe are needed in order to turn Winter Resort Simulator into a game that I would not only recommend to you, but I would want to invest significant time into playing myself. As it is, that's not how I see Winter Resort Simulator. For me, the two key things in a skiing game are the gondolas or ski lifts and actually skiing. Now the gondolas are exceptional, truly well modelled to the highest degree. The skiing, on the other hand, is embarrassing. You'll notice that it is absolutely silent. There is no turning, no lean, not a hint of realism here. Braking does not require you to turn to the side or indeed use a plough in order to slow down. And despite my best efforts using the ski poles in order to speed up, this made absolutely no difference to anything at all. Inclines do seem to speed you up and slow you down if you're going up an incline. So maybe the bigger slopes, when they get opened and unlocked, will offer even greater speed, but certainly the whole mechanics around skiing is just shockingly poor. In contrast to the gondolas, it's been given no time, care or consideration at all. Another really significant fundamental failure in this game is the controller support. Now they have tried to allow controller support, and you can fumble some controls together. But for example, skiing with a controller, even though you've changed all of the controls over to a controller, you cannot ski with a controller. So if you bind walking and looking to a controller, when you return to ski, you will need to steer on the keyboard, you will need the mouse to look left and right, and you will need the controller to look up and down. I kid you not. This is made worse by the fact that the game has no dead zone settings. So if you've got an Xbox 360 controller that centralizes completely, then fair play to you. You're probably the only person on the planet who has that. As there is no dead zone in this game, in my game, if I'm using the controller, I am looking all over the place constantly. I'm constantly moving. I cannot stand still. I cannot look in one direction without my head moving constantly. It's a nightmare, constantly having to reset your view. It's awful. And, get this, in their infinite wisdom, there appears to be no option to bind a controller button in order to allow you to interact and open a door. So if you're walking around using your controller and you get to a door, you'll need to use your mouse to left click in order to open the door. But because you've changed your controls to look around using the controller, you cannot use the mouse to look at the door. So you're going to have to look at the door with the controller, which by the way is constantly moving. Don't forget that. It is constantly moving. And then click with the mouse when it's over the door. Worse if you're trying to click a button. And whilst we're still loosely on the subject of skiing, just look at this ridiculousness. Dear me. Where is their quality control? Honestly, if you want to see all this stuff in huge detail, you can go over to SimUK Let's Play and you can watch me learning all of these foibles and issues over there. If you want to, you can see everything in detail. You can see exactly how all this stuff happened to me. Now, I've got to say, it's not all bad, okay? So driving the car with the keyboard is okay, but driving the car with a wheel, wait for it, is actually really good. Nearly excellent, and it's really quite very realistic. I mean, the physics of the car are not realistic at all, but just the handling, it's one-to-one steering control. It really does feel like you're driving a car. It's brilliant. There's no default built-in head tracking, which is a bit of a shame. But you can bind either the mouse or the controller to look around. But unfortunately you can't bind both at the same time, as I've already mentioned. So then what you have to do is you have to choose a controller or a mouse. Now if you choose the mouse, that's fine. You just need to be able to reach the mouse whilst you're steering. But if you choose the controller, and I'll say it again, it has no dead zone. So you'll be looking all over the place whilst trying to steer. It's a nightmare. It's unplayable in its current state. Yes, you can go outside to an external camera, but you cannot do it. You cannot drive this game from within the car for all the reasons I've mentioned. There's no option built into the game to be able to turn your head with indicators or turn as you turn the wheel, so that's not an option either. I think if I really gave it some effort, I probably could bind some head tracking device to a wheel, to a control mechanism, but I know by doing that I would probably cause myself more problems, so I wouldn't recommend even trying it. Now, as I say, my G29 did hook up and it did work well with the game, but half of the buttons on it are completely unrecognised, so it's only got partial support at best. And I've already touched on this slightly, but we also have physics in this game. Just look at how these boxes of dead chickens are trying to escape from me. I guess they must be organic chickens. I can't think of any other explanation for their flip out. And it's not just the chickens that have these flip out moments either. Some areas of the game cause more issues than others, like trying to deliver the organic chicken to the restaurant. It looked to me like they were disappearing into the building, so that's where I put them. But that's not where you're supposed to put them. You're supposed to walk up to this icon and then they disappear, but if you miss it ever so slightly, they won't. So that was actually a bug. That wasn't what it was meant to be. And when you've put them inside of the building, you cannot get them out again. The right way to do it is to just reverse in to unload, but nobody said that to me in the tutorial. So I recommend, if you're going to play this game, that's the way you unload. Now, there's an economic aspect to this game as well, which is, in my humble opinion, also significantly poor and undernourished. You can set the entry price for skiers for a skier's all-day pass, but you cannot set the price of the half-day pass. That is automatically set for you based on what you put the all-day pass at. Okay, that's okay, logical, no problem. The financial report changes in real time, so it's constantly fluctuating, up, down, left, right, and all over the place. There's no rhyme nor reason to it. It just looks awful. What the actual... You cannot set the prices for food in restaurants. That's not a thing. You can't select what food you sell. There's no option to select anything there. You can buy and or rent new slopes and buildings in order to expand your business. But the way that this is reflected in financial reports is pretty unclear, and everything seems to happen way too immediately. New slopes need to be prepared and maintained, and this, as I've already mentioned, can be done manually or it can be managed. But you don't have any staff. You have no employees, no wages, and no equipment costs either. Now, that's not to say that it's free. There is a single one-time payment in order to get somebody else to prepare a slope for you. But A, it happens way too quickly, and B, this is just not a simulated economy at all. It's had very little attention placed upon it. One of the key things for this game is keeping customers satisfied, and customer satisfaction changes in the blink of an eye. And the basic logic just seems to win out anyway. So for example, you start with slope 3, which you rent. It already has a ski lift and a restaurant already placed there. Now, right next to it is slope 4, and it's only going to cost you 25,000 to buy it outright. So it's right next door to slope 3. So everything is there that you need. Buy it, and instantly all of your customer satisfaction levels go up. Everyone is happy. You instantly have a 5-star resort and you're making a profit. So now what? What do you do? Ski? Clearly this game had a time and a financial budget applied to it, and it seems to me like they spent all of it on the very impressively modelled and animated ski lift systems and the fully licensed snowcats as well, which I happily admit are pretty cool, if a little lacking on the inside and in terms of control management. But nothing else has had any attention to detail placed upon it. It's just been pushed out really quickly, and it's so obvious that they've put no time or effort into it at all. It's quite disappointing. In order to change my review on this game to recommended, the following things need to be changed. The keybind options system needs to be completely overhauled and tested. They should add full controller support, Xbox 360 minimum. Wheels would be especially good because the whole game is so much better when you're steering with a wheel, the car at least, and the skidoo thingies as well. One thing I will say in its favour is that it does currently recognise multiple controllers, but it will only register half of the buttons on each of those controllers, so it doesn't even work properly. And the D-pad, I'm telling you now, is not a flipping axis, so how the hell you're registering a D-pad in this game as an axis control is ridiculous. The whole thing needs to be totally overhauled. Equally, the skiing needs to be completely overhauled. Just start again. And where's the customization? New skis, new outfits, etc. I mean, to be fair, that's not something I'm particularly bothered by, but I know a lot of people will be. And skiers especially are all about how they look. So maybe think about adding that into the game. The economics are so shallow and so poorly implemented as well. They also need a complete and total overhaul before it's even worthy of playing. I'd like to see a realistic profit and loss sheet at the end of each day or the end of each week, whatever makes most sense. Customer satisfaction should be on a per customer basis. For example, you have beginner skiers who want to see an easy slope, and you have advanced skiers who want to see an advanced slope. If you don't cover both of those bases, and you're only going to be giving 50% of the people what they want. I think you should allow us to pick what we sell, where and at what price. And as there is literally nothing else to do but for ski, you need to give us something to do. There needs to be some element of management. I think we need employees. I think you need to look at good employees. You have good employees, you have bad employees, you pay them wages, you have to manage the wages, maybe you have to fire them. This all needs to be added. And when I'm skiing and I start rolling back because I'm going uphill, please don't flip my skis and my feet 180 degrees. It just looks stupid. So guys, pretty much that's everything I can think of that needs to be said in this game. I think I've been clear. You know, there are elements of this game which are absolutely fantastic, and then in contrast there are elements of this game which are absolutely disgraceful. And unfortunately, the disgraceful elements significantly outweigh the good elements. It's unplayable in its current state. You will not be able to have long-term fun with this game, I am telling you now. But the good bits are so good that this game really could be worthy of a buy, but not until they've put all of these things straight. If you want to ignore me and buy the game as it is, that's perfectly okay. But be warned, it's not very well optimized at the moment either. I have had it running really well with 500 people on it, and I had excellent FPS. But then today when I played it, I've got 50 people on there and I'm getting 20 to 30 FPS. So I don't know what the hell is causing that, but it's a bit up and down on all over the place. There's probably things that can be done to improve it, but I don't know what exactly yet. One thing I did change, I literally just remembered. Yesterday, I was playing the game in windowed mode, and today I switched it to full screen. That could be the difference. Unfortunately, it's too late in the day for me to go and check that now, but potentially that could significantly improve FPS. That would explain the difference that I had from yesterday to today. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. There is a link in the description below so you can get this game at a better price than you can on Steam, and I get a little kickback off it as well, something like 3%, so it would help me out a little bit at the same time. Doesn't cost you anything extra. If you don't want to do that, but you want to say thank you for this review, then hit the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe, share with your friends, and that's basically all I can ask for. Hopefully I've done my job here and helped you out in deciding whether or not to buy this game. And this is definitely one to put on your wish list and come back and look at it in a month or two when they've had a chance to look at these things. If they ignore my recommendations and leave it as it is, I wouldn't recommend this game at all, at any price. Which is a shame, because the seriously heavily simulated areas of it are so very good, and it looks fantastic in many areas, so hopefully they'll come good. But yeah, we shall see. Thanks for watching, take care, goodbye for now.